Hi, I'm Dave, an Army veteran, and this is my service dog Grunt, and welcome to Cooking with a Veteran. Okay, welcome back to Cooking with a Veteran. I'm your host, Dave Rogers, and as I promised today, we're going to be cooking my 5-bean chili. Now you notice that I'm wearing gloves today, and that's because when I'm cooking with chilies, I don't really like to get the chili underneath my nails. The flavor is there forever, and every time I lift my hands up to my face, I can smell it all the time. And though I love chilies, I don't want to smell it all the time. All right, so let me start by going over some of the ingredients that we're going to be using today. Because this is my 5-bean chili, I go ahead and I have some black eyed peas. I have some pink kidney beans. I have some pinto beans. I have my dark red kidney beans. And then I have some black beans. I have some sweet corn this time. All right. I have my onions and peppers here. I have my homemade sauce. I also have, I boiled and crushed up some tomatoes. I skinned them. Okay, so I have that because I like the texture. I also have all my seasoning mixed up here. I have some chili seasoning. I have some crushed red pepper. I have my adobo. I have my Sazon all inside of here, ready to go. I have a little bit of my vegetable stock that I'm going to use, and then I have my meats. And this is you know, it's different. Not everybody wants to put meat into their chili, and that's fine. You can make just the bean chili. It tastes great. I like my chili to have meat. And if you're going to cook with meats, again, it's important to make sure that you're using not just good quality meat, but a nice mixture. So once again, I have my chopped meats, which include my beef, my pork, my lamb. I also got, this is chopped Italian sausage. It's the spicy Italian sausage. I'm gonna add a little bit of that for it for a little more kick. And then I love to add to my chilies some short rib, okay? And so these are some nice short ribs. And I'm actually gonna cook these up to make a little bit of the brine that I can add into the chili with everything else. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna prep my meat to cook my meat. And a lot of people put all their seasoning into the pot. I actually like to mix the seasoning into the meat itself because that's where it's gonna keep your flavor. So I'm not gonna add all of my seasoning mix, but I'm gonna add about half of my seasoning mix inside of here. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna mix that in, okay? Because again, that meat will carry the flavor nicely throughout the chili. All right, so I have my meat all mixed up. My short ribs are ready to go. Okay, I have all my ingredients set out, and now it's time to start cooking. Okay, so once again in my pan, I have some garlic, I have some fresh parsley, I have a little bit of ginger, and some olive oil. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna mix that around. I love the cooking smell of garlic and ginger. And when you add a little parsley to it, it tastes amazing and it smells amazing. Okay. This time I'm going to go ahead and add my onions and peppers. All right, so my onions and peppers are nicely cooked. Okay, they're nice and soft. And now it's time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in my short rib. And again, this is an option because, you know, short rib is not cheap. It's why I'm only adding a little bit to it. But it gives it a really great flavor when you have some short rib in there. All right, so you can see the brown rib is almost fully cooked. All right, I don't want to overcook it. Again, this goes back to when I was making the chicken for the Spanish rice. You don't want to cook your meat fully through in the beginning because it's going to sit in the pot and cook some more. And you don't want it to dry out too much. Right. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in all my chopped meats here. Now I know I'm making a lot here. That's because I'm going to share this with some people who like my chili. So normally if I was making this for me, I would not put this much meat inside. But again, I'm going to share this with some friends. And so I want to make sure that I make enough for everybody to taste. Okay, so while I'm browning up my meat, I'll tell you a little bit about where I learned to cook chili. I actually learned to cook chili in my first duty assignment down in Hunter Army Airfield. My first sergeant Browning, who was probably my first mentor in the military, he took me underneath his wing. I'll admit I was getting into a little bit of trouble when I first joined the Army. I finally had money in my pocket. I had a lot of new brothers and sisters, and well, we had a lot of brothers because we were infantry unit. But we would go out and we'd party, and sometimes we got in trouble. And the first sergeant took me into his office one day, and First Sergeant Browning was amazing because he only stood about 5'4", maybe 5'5", and he had this old wooden desk, really tall wooden desk. And when he would get angry at you, he would stand behind the desk and he would jump from the floor to the center of that desk. But he wouldn't yell. He would lean in and just kind of tell you you were doing something wrong. So anyway, he took me underneath his wing, and I told him that, I enjoyed cooking or wanted to learn more about cooking. And he took me down to his house and he taught me how to make chili. All right, so you can see that all the meat is nicely cooked and still very moist. All right, so at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add in my vegetable stock. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add in my beans. And the reason I'm adding the beans before I add the sauce is because if you add the sauce first and you add too much sauce, then you have to make room for the beans. All right, now that I have all my beans and my corn, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna mix it up. And this pot that I'm using is a sauce pot, and this is actually a great sauce pot. Belonged to my grandmother. She cooked made all of her spaghetti sauces in this. And I just love this for cooking because it holds really well the heat, and it's a nice sized pot. All right, and before I put in my tomato sauce, I'm gonna go ahead and add the remainder of my chili and crushed peppers in there. All right, now that I have it all mixed in, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna add some tomato paste. I'm gonna add in my peeled tomatoes. All right, now I'm gonna add in my tomato sauce. All right, now that everything's mixed in there, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna turn the burner on low. I'm gonna cover this, and I'm gonna let this slow cook, okay? Usually I let it cook for about an hour, hour and a half, but you wanna check on it, make sure it's not burning and it's not sticking to the bottom of the pan. All right, so I'm checking on the chili. I wanna make sure that it's not burning at the bottom of the pot. And one of the ways you make sure that that happens is you take your spoon, you put it all the way at the bottom, and you move it around. And if it doesn't feel sticky or bumpy at the bottom, then you know it's not burning. And again, I'm cooking this on a low temperature so that it doesn't burn, but there's still the risk if you don't check it once in a while. The other thing, if you're new to cooking chili, I know you saw me, I just put all of my seasoning in at one time, but if you're new to cooking chili, it's best to start lighter with your chili powders and your peppers and stuff like that, because you can always add more heat, but you can't take the heat away once it's in there. So you want to make sure that you start nice and light, taste it as you go along, okay, to see if the heat is to your desire, or something that you would like. And if it's not, then you can add more to it. All right, so once again comes my favorite part of cooking any meal, is tasting the meal. Just the right amount of heat in there. Tastes wonderful. I'll see you next time. Okay, so we hope you enjoyed joining us again today for Cooking with a Veteran. If you liked the episode, make sure you follow us below.